You by 22trust. This
Russian Jewry know the meaning of abandonment. From 1791 until 1915, 40% of world Jewry were forced to live in an area of Eastern Europe which became known as the Pale of Settlement. They faced mob violence, often organised by governments. Stalin wasted no time in disbanding Jewish organisations and outlawing the Hebrew language, effectively outlawing the study of the Torah. Then, as these territories in the easternmost corner of Europe fell under the jurisdiction of Hitler's Third Reich, millions of Jews perished in the death factories. It may come as no surprise then when I tell you that today there are many Jewish people who have been cut off from their heritage, their history and their God. Nowhere is this more evident than among the thousands of lost Jewish children living in orphanages, facing poverty, neglect and anti-Semitism. Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, were called by God to be His people, His witnesses, His beloved. The book of Isaiah in chapter 43 records God's words. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. 22trust has created the Bnei Israel Orphans program to find Israel's lost children. The program brings healing, education, and reconnection of orphans to their Jewish roots, and then finally brings them back home to live in the land that God gave to them, the land of Israel. The orphans of the former Soviet Union are among the most vulnerable in society. These children end up in an orphanage through no fault of their own. The people who were supposed to care for them and love them have all too often abused them and abandoned them. Thousands of these children are Jewish, living lost in a world with no connection to their heritage or to their God.
There are over 700,000 orphans living in Russia and hundreds of thousands more living in the Ukraine. It is estimated that thousands of these children are Jewish. Once leaving the orphanage, only 10% of these orphans lived any kind of meaningful life. The rest turned to crime, prostitution, or commit suicide. These are good children who have ended up in this situation by no fault of their own. If we do not help them, they will be lost forever.
I am responsible for taking care of 25 children here in the orphanage. I try my best to be a mother for all of them. These children have so much potential, but most of them will fail because we cannot offer them the services that they desperately need. It is heartbreaking to look into their eyes and not to be able to help them.
I ended up living on the streets when I left the orphanage. Life is terrible. I have to beg for money so that I can eat. I use drugs all the time because it helps me block out of the conditions that I live in. A dog should not have to live like I do.
We really try our best to take care of the children we have here in the orphanage. It is not that we don't care, we just don't have the resources to help off with them. It is horrible to watch a child leave the orphanage and end up on the streets.
I was abandoned by my parents when I was 5 years old. I was very afraid and lonely. Now I live in an orphanage. The people here told me I am Jewish. I don't know what that means. All that I can think about is wanting to have a mother and father. It's very lonely living here.
Because of this dire situation, 22trust has created Bnei Israel, the most comprehensive orphans Aliyah program ever implemented in the former Soviet Union. Our mission is to locate Jewish orphans, rehabilitate them so that they may heal from their traumatic past, educate them scholastically and in their Jewish roots, provide them with the necessary skills and training so that they may function in society, and finally, prepare and assist them in making Aliyah.
Children like Lena are struggling to survive. It was only recently that she found out that she herself was Jewish. We need to help bring her back to her Jewish roots, where she can be healed from her tragic past. The Bible records God's promise for the Jewish children. They will survive in the land of their enemy, so there is hope for your future, declares the Lord. Your children will return to their own land.
In Isaiah 49:22, the Bible speaks of God beckoning to the Gentiles to bring Jewish sons in their arms and Jewish daughters on their shoulders. This is our opportunity to help the Jewish orphans in their hour of greatest need and to lift them out of horrendous circumstances, just as God promised them. As God enables you, please call the number on your screen. Your gift of $49.22 or your gift of any amount will help rescue more Lenas. Please help us to help them.
Here in Moscow is something that is rarely seen in the former Soviet Union, a Jewish orphanage. This orphanage, literally called Big Family, is a privately run Jewish orphanage that takes in orphan Jewish children from the former Soviet Union. Here, the children of Bnei Israel can begin their healing process. They begin to feel that they are part of a family. They will also start to connect with their Jewish roots that have been stripped away by years of Soviet domination.
This is a very unique orphanage. People are shocked to hear that there is a Jewish orphanage in Moscow. We call our orphanage Big Family because that is really what we are. We live here as a big family. My husband Raphael and I raise the children in a spirit of Jewish tradition. We want to heal the children from their traumatic past. They need so much attention, and that is what we give them, but they also need so much more. That is why we provide the necessary psychological services to all of our children. But most of all, we offer loving family environments so that our children can heal and grow in a secure Jewish home.
These children have had traumatic pasts and have been stripped of all religious values. With the help of 22trust, we find these children in orphanages all over the former Soviet Union. We bring them here to give them a chance at life and to also introduce them to their Jewish heritage.
It's very simple, these words, that the children are our future, but it's the truth. We have to do everything for our children. What they will be in the future, it will be our Jewish nation. And we have a lot of orphans all around the world. We have to gather them from all the world and to help them to become real Jews that know their traditions, know everything, to be a great one Jewish nation.
In the beginning, I was very depressed and lost. I had no idea what was going on. The boys were wearing Jewish caps. I was told that I was here because I was Jewish. I'd heard about Jews, but I didn't know anything about being Jewish. I started to learn little by little what it meant to be Jewish. At the same time, I was surrounded by so much love. For the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged somewhere. It is such a great feeling.
Before I came here, I was very unhappy. My life was terrible. Every day I sat and did nothing. I was lonely and alone. Learning about my Judaism is helping me deal with my past, and it is also giving me so much hope for the future.
People always ask us, why should there be a Jewish orphanage? It's really very simple. This is probably the only chance these children will have in their young lives to connect with their Jewish roots. If we do not have an environment like this, what would happen to these children? They would be lost, and their Jewish heritage would simply slip away.
I don't want to tell about my past because it hurts too much. I read Torah, and one day I hope to be a rabbi. I love the Shabbat, and I love to practice all of the Jewish traditions. I really like attending the Jewish day school. I do well on math, but my favorite classes are learning about being Jewish.
We are blessed that all of our children attend the Jewish day school here in Moscow. Not only do they study Torah, but they also receive an amazing scholastic education. It is such a joy to see how well our children are doing in school.
I am very proud of all my students here, but I'm especially proud of the children from the orphanage. To know their past and to see how far they have come is truly a miracle. It just proves that if these children are put in a good environment and given the services that they need, they can do well in their lives and have very bright futures.
What a joy it is to see these abandoned children begin to heal as they are finally in a safe, nurturing environment. To see them attend Jewish day school, to see the spark in their eyes would not be possible without donations like yours. Let's find these lost children like Maya, for it is in our hands and power to do so.
Please call the number on your screen. We can help provide an environment in which these orphans can flourish in a newfound awareness of their Jewish heritage and experience the unsearchable depths of God's love. Your gift will help 22trust and our associates to provide holistic care and the family love that these Jewish orphans so desperately need and crave. The Bnei Israel program depends upon the donations of individuals, churches, and organizations. Won't you please help us?
The Jewish orphans have an additional hurdle, that of anti-Semitism. Jewish children are being singled out in orphanages. They are being condemned to suffer from constant rough treatment. The Psalms speak again and again of the enemies of God's people and ask Him not to permit them victory. See how my enemies have increased and how fiercely they hate me. The odds of surviving are already stacked against the orphans. Having to fight through the effects of anti-Semitism makes it that much more difficult.
It's hard to understand rationally why the hatred of Jews continues to persist. The horrors that were perpetrated against us over the centuries inevitably began with words of hate. The Jew was demonized, the Jew was delegitimized, he was dehumanized. And once someone's humanity is tread upon, the gates fly open for far greater tragedies to be perpetrated.
It is unfortunate, but we see a tremendous amount of anti-Semitism directed at Jewish orphans in the former Soviet Union. They are made fun of and many times treated differently than the other children living in the orphanage. These children are suffering and they need our help.
The problems of anti-Semitism exist today all over the world. Take a look at Moscow. This is a big city like New York or London. The children here face anti-Semitism on a daily basis. The neighbors yell at us, "Go to Israel with the rest of the Jews." They make fun of our kids because they wear their kippas. It is difficult to explain all this hatred to the children, but it is reality and it exists on our streets.
There are some groups of Nazis and all like this. When I see them in the street, I'm trying to go away, far, far away, because I know that I will have a lot of problems with this and they can kill me. It's very, very dangerous.
For me, being a Jew means to love people and to love God. I am a kind person. I like to greet people. I don't understand all of this hate.
Anti-Semitism is everywhere. When we go to the food market, we are made fun of. When the children try to go to the university, there are problems getting in with a Jewish name. How do I explain this to these children that have so much love in their souls? I really am lost for words.
The Bible shows clearly that it is God's command for us, the nations, to bless His children, to comfort them and to bring them hope. Isaiah 43 records God's call to the nations. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth, everyone who is called by my name, whom I created for my glory, whom I formed and made. Here in the former Soviet Union, there is a culture of resentment towards the Jewish people, and no simple or understandable reason as to why. We could do something about it. We can help stop the spread of anti-Semitism. We can also bless these people that God chose to be a light to the nations of the world.
You can make a stand with us against the curse of anti-Semitism. May we be numbered among the righteous of the nations who seek the blessing of the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for God's honor and glory. Your gift of 4922 or your gift of any amount will help redress the situation by assisting some of the most vulnerable victims. Call the number on your screen and show the Jewish people how much you care.
The Shabbat is really a beautiful time here at the orphanage. It's a time to come together as a family. Even children that have grown up and left the orphanage come back here to celebrate with us.
I'm so proud of my children here. When I see them practice their Jewish traditions, I know that they are connecting to their heritage. They know their history. They have wonderful values. And I know that they really appreciate this.
It's the eve of Shabbat, and the boys are departing to the local synagogue. There they will pray in their Jewish tradition to bring in the Sabbath. While the boys are away, the girls will pray in the orphanage and then have a special candle lighting service.
When I look into our children's eyes, I see a deep love and such a real connection to their Judaism. These children are overcoming a horrific past, and their faith in God is helping them to do this. When we invest in God's children, we are investing in the future of all humanity.
Lost Jewish orphans being rehabilitated, saved from a life of destitution. Is it by chance, or is it God's will? Children growing up in a society that was stripped of its right to practice religion for decades, yet here in an orphanage, Jewish children are praying to their God on Shabbat. Is it an isolated event, or is it God's will? God has so clearly been at work here among these children as He undoes the damage caused by the years of neglect and isolation from the blessings of His covenant, from His Torah instruction. Shabbat, the weekly observance, was commanded by God as a gift to His people, and to give them time in which they could celebrate and have opportunity to know Him. The Lord says, "Say to the Israelites, you must observe my Sabbaths. This will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come, so you may know that I am the Lord who makes you holy." With your support, we are not only saving orphans, but also helping to bring them back to know their God. There are thousands of these children that need our assistance. Won't you help 22trust to make this possible?
God's hand is at work here. Has God enabled you to play a role in this ministry? Please ask Him and see. You can help make a difference. Your prayerful and financial support will help enable Jewish orphans to grow to know the Lord, so that they might worship Him in spirit and in truth. Please call the number on your screen and bless these Jewish people as a witness to God's love for them.
Jewish orphans, scattered throughout the former Soviet Union, lost and without hope. 22trust is gathering these lost souls, restoring them, and then bringing them back home. Located in the village of Bet Ar, south of Jerusalem, 200 students from the former Soviet Union are attending a Torah Technological Institute, Zion Ba'rinah, which means to Zion with joy. It teaches advanced studies in a traditional Jewish environment. Not only do these children move on to the best universities, but they are also being prepared for an independent Jewish life in Israel.
What we do here is take Jewish children from the former Soviet Union and introduce them to life in Israel. The children here are grounded in their Judaism as well as given an excellent education. Most of our children have come from terrible circumstances. It is our job here to make sure that they receive the appropriate services so they may continue to learn and grow.
To be able to implement a comprehensive approach like this is very exciting. It is never enough to just give a child an education or just give a child a religious foundation. In order for these children to plant their roots here in Israel, we must provide a holistic approach. which includes psychological services, educational services, as well as a solid upbringing in the traditions of Judaism.
I can tell you for sure, the life is very different here in Israel. In Ukraine, I could not wear my kippah out in public. If people knew that I was Jewish, they would make fun of me, or even worse, I could be beaten. In Israel, I feel free to be myself. This has helped me to grow my faith in God. I like my teachers here, and I'm learning about computer technology. I plan to go to the very good university here in Israel. If I was going to school in Ukraine, my life would be very different now. Each day that goes by, I feel stronger that this is where I belong. I'm so lucky to be here.
I came here when I was 14 to attend high school. At first, it was a difficult transition because I was all alone. Everyone here was so wonderful and loving that I was able to adapt very quickly. I have grown so much and have become a young Jewish woman. I have been accepted to the university and will make Aliyah in the fall. When I was living in Russia, I never dreamed that my life would be like this. I'm so thankful to everyone that has helped me.
We are witnessing today these young Jewish souls finding their roots. What a joy it is to see them working on their studies, becoming enriched in their Jewish traditions, and finally being connected to their land and to their God. We need your support so that we can help find the lost children of Israel and then bring them home where they can live and love the God of Israel.
God has pledged himself to his Jewish people unconditionally. He has chosen them, loves them, and reveals himself to the world through them. Please join with us to help them practically and to play our part in extending God's kingdom to those for whom it was first given, the fruit of his covenant for all to see. Call us, even if you have called before. Perhaps you'd like to call again. Together let's bring Jewish sons in our arms and Jewish daughters on our shoulders as our response to God's prophetic promise in Isaiah 49:22, out of destitution and despair and into every facet of their inheritance.
Thank you for watching this program. You have now seen something of the impact the land of Israel has on the lives of these wonderful sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Please do continue to pray for and support the Jewish orphans of the former Soviet Union. With your help, we can bless the name of the Lord and participate in the work of the one who is the peace of Israel.